Warning: the following video contains disturbing material that may be inappropriate for younger viewers. Parental discretion is advised. Fritz Haarmann was one of the first serial killers to hit the headlines in modern times. He confessed to the murders of at least 27 young men and boys in his hometown of Hanover, Germany. Between 1918 and 1924, he would kill his victims in a savage onslaught, biting through their windpipes as he sexually assaulted them. Then, with considerable care, he would remove their clothes and sell them, dismember the bodies, dispose of the bones, and finally cook the flesh to sell it on the black market as pork. If this seems hard to believe, one should remember that Germany in the years after the First World War was on the brink of starvation. Food was food. The people at the time didn't ask too many questions as to its provenance. Fritz Haarmann was born on October 25th, 1879. in Hanover, Germany, the sixth child of Ollie and Joanna Haarmann. Ollie was a drunk and a womanizer, while Joanna was older than her husband, 41 at the time Fritz was born, and in poor health. Fritz, the baby of the family, was his mother's favorite and constantly sided with her against his father. As a child, he preferred to play with dolls instead of boys' toys. More worrying at the time was a fondness for frightening people, particularly his sisters. He liked to play games that involved tying them up or scaring them by tapping on their windows at night. Fritz's mother died when he was 12, and feuding with his father intensified. After school, he became an apprentice to a locksmith. When that didn't work out, he was sent to the military school. After 6 months there, he went back home because he seemed to be suffering from epileptic fits. Back in Hanover, he took to fondling children. Complaints were made and Haarmann was examined by a doctor who sent him to an insane asylum. This was a deeply traumatic experience for Haarmann. He eventually escaped and fled to Switzerland before returning to Hanover in 1900. By this time, he appeared to be a reformed character. He married a woman named Erna Loart and seemed ready to settle down, but when she became pregnant, Fritz left her and joined the army and became involved in petty crime. He was soon arrested for burglary, pickpocketing, and small-scale cons. In 1914, Fritz was convicted of a warehouse burglary and sent to prison for the longest stint yet, enabling him to see out the First World War from a prison cell. On release in 1918, he found himself in a poverty-stricken society as Germany struggled to recover from the war. Crime was flourishing as people desperately sought means of survival. This was the ideal environment for Haarmann. He immediately joined a smuggling ring and simultaneously became a police informer, managing to profit both sides at once. The silent feature of the post-World War years was the number of homeless and displaced people milling around the city. Many of them resorted to prostitution, so it was easy for Haarmann to pick up boys and youths. In particular, he liked to frequent the railway station and find likely prospects there. Often, he would introduce himself as Detective Haarmann and use that pretext to get the boys to go with him. At one time, he had been satisfied with sexual abuse, but now his sickness had depended and needed to kill his victims to satisfy his lust. One of his first victims was named Friedel Roth. Roth's parents found out that their son had gone with Detective Haarmann, and the police went around to Haarmann's apartment, but failed to notice the boy's severed head hidden behind the stove. Shortly afterwards, Haarmann received a 9-month prison sentence for indecency. On his release, he met a young homosexual called Hans Grans. They became lovers and moved in together. Next, they became business partners, trading on the black market as Fritz continued to act as a police informer. Over the next couple of years, their business began to include gruesome new sidelines, selling the clothes and cooked flesh of Haarmann's victims. For the most part, the pair's victims were never missed. Even when they were, the authorities seemed to make elementary blunders in following clues. The parents of one victim told the police they suspected Grans of having been the murderer, but Grans was in prison at the time. However, Haarmann was never investigated, even though he visited the parents, pretended to be a criminologist, and laughed hysterically as they told him their fears. Another time, a suspicious customer took some of Haarmann's meat to the authorities for examination. The police expert duly pronounced it to be pork. It seems that as long as the murders were confined to a homosexual netherworld, people in general preferred to look the other way. That all changed in May 1924, when several human skulls were found in the river. At first, the authorities tried to calm the public's fear, suggesting that it was some kind of macabre joke. The skulls have been left there by grave robbers. However, on July 24th, children found a shack stuffed with human bones. There was no stopping the panic. In all, the police found 500 bones belonging to at least 27 bodies. The police investigated all local sex offenders, among them Fritz Haarmann, but still found no evidence to connect him to the apparent murders. In the end, it was Haarmann's own arrogance that led to his downfall. For some reason, conceivably to stop himself from committing another murder, he took a 15-year-old boy to the police to report him for insolent behavior. Once under arrest, the boy accused Haarmann of making sexual advances. Haarmann was arrested and his apartment was searched. The police found garments belonging to missing children. Some of them were bloodstained. Haarmann at first explained them away by saying that he was a dealer in used clothing and had no idea where the blood had come from. However, after a week in custody under questioning, Haarmann finally confessed to the murders. He took detectives to a number of sites around Hanover, where he had buried further bodies, seeming to take pride in his crime. His testimony only veered when it came down to the roles of Hans Grans, whom he alternately blamed. When the case came to court, Haarmann was tried and sentenced to death. The jury decided that Grans was no more than an accessory after the fact and sentenced him to 12 years in prison. Haarmann appeared to enjoy his trial, conducting his own defense, smoking cigars, and complaining about the presence of women in the courtroom. It was his final act of bravado. However, on April 25th, 1925, he, like so many of his victims, was put to death by beheading. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment who you think the next serial killer is going to be. And also remember to comment down below anything having to do with the video for a chance to be on a daily shout out. You can also follow me or reach out to me on Twitter, and I have a Twitch channel that I play some games on. Both will be linked in the description down below. Until next time, guys, sweet dreams.